Hey folks, Evil DM here, and I'm back for another episode of INE, Idols and Euphrates. So we're on episode number 7 now, and we've covered a couple classes in the past, the Monk, Paladins, we went over thieving skills, magic user spells, and character creations in our last couple videos, so if you haven't checked those out, go ahead and check them out now. If you have any questions, you can do Ask the DM at theevildm.com. If you have a specific 1E question or any question about any of my videos, that's quite fine. Hit me up on an email. I get that and I will respond either in video or via email, depending on what you'd like. So this one, we're going to talk about bards. Yeah, bards. Bards are the jack of all trades, part magician, part trickster, part lore master, part entertainer, rolled all into one class. Bards are really hard to qualify for, and the requirements for this class are often really difficult to obtain if you really look at it. And we're going to break it down a little bit and go over it and figure out how you can do it. So if you flip to page 117 in the original book, the one right here, I will get it for you. This puppy right here. You can go to Appendix 2, which is Bards, and Gygax writes in his book, as this character class subsumes the functions of two other classes, fighters and thieves, and then tops them off with magical abilities, is not often allowed by the Dungeon Master. Even though his presentation is greatly modified from the original Bard class, which I'm assuming he means the one that was probably in the Dragon magazine at one point as one of the optional NPC classes, is offered as a supplement to this system, and your DM will be the final arbitrator as to the inclusion of bards in your campaign. So it's in the back under appendix as an option only, so it's not automatic. So if you're flipping through that book and you think, hey, it's in the book, I can do it. No. You have to have your DM's permission first. So the requirements for this class are quite steep. You have to get a roll requirement for almost all your stats. All your stats, you're right, all. You need a 15 strength, an intelligence of 12, a wisdom of 15, a dexterity of 15, a constitution of 10, and a very high charisma of 15. Now, having all those high abilities, you'd think, all right, cool, maybe, I'd get like a high, experience percentage under my prime requisite. No, you don't get any of that at all, so forget it. It doesn't really have a prime requisite because you have to have all these. You're only allowed to be human and half-elf, and that's about it. Nothing else, unless, of course, your Dungeon Master waives that and decides, Alignment. Again, this could be waived, but according to the book, you can only be a neutral-based type alignment, so neutral evil, neutral good, chaotic neutral, and lawful neutral only. Weapons are pretty limited to club, dagger, dart, javelin, slings, scimitar, spear, staff, sword. That includes bastard, broad, and long and short swords. Now, armor is a little tricky because it only allows you leather and chainmail, but the chainmail has to be magical in origin only, so regular chainmail cannot be worn. You can only use poisons if you pick a neutral evil alignment. Once you become a bard, and I will explain that in just a moment, your hit dice is a d6. You cap at level 23 as a bard and go no higher whatsoever. There is no above 23. To begin your career as a bard, you must start with these statistics and abilities and everything I told you before, but you have to be a fighter. Now, here's where it starts to get a little tricky. You have to be a fighter to at least level 5. Now, when you hit level 5, you have the option of continuing along the path of a fighter, or you can jump straight into your next requisite to become a bard, which is a thief. Now, before you do that, you have up until 8th level, so you can be fighter of 6 and 7, but before you reach 8, you have to change to the thief class. Now, I suggest possibly hanging on till level 7, because I will explain that later. You may want to do that, because when you fight in combat, you use a fighter matrix going forward. And whatever level you end your fighting career on, that's what you're going to be stuck fighting as for the rest of your career as the bard class. Doesn't matter what level bard you are, you're always going to be a fighter stuck at whatever level you got highest at a fighter. Stinks, but that's how it works. So then you jump over and you do class into the thief. All right, cool. Now, you could stay as a thief until level 8 if you want, but as soon as you hit level 5, you can jump right into starting your whole bardic career as a druid, so to speak, but you're more like a bard. So I suggest grabbing some levels in Thief as much as you can, so you can get all the hit point bonuses you want, the backstabs and everything like that. The saving throw bonuses as well, because don't forget, you cap at a certain level once you're going, say you dropped at Fighter 5, your best saving throws are going to be 5 once you hit the Druid class. So unless you go Thief 6, 7, and 8, and those might be slightly better, I don't know offhand by thinking off the top of my head, but I would attempt to do it by looking which is your best option. Once you hit that decision to become a bard, you undergo basically what is considered training. And now you start focusing on the bardic class. And there's some things to worry about. Like I said, when bards are attacked, they use the highest level of fighter that you obtain in your career, which I explained before. So, if you dipped out at 5, then you're always going to fight at level 5 no matter what. So that kind of stinks. Saving throw, you always use the highest level of your equivalent of a druid, unless the saves of the fighter or the thief, whichever is higher, outranks at the time. So as you're leveling up, and you're a level 2 bard, you would be considered a level 2 druid equivalent. So you would look at the saving throws, compare them to your highest versus the fighter versus the thief, and use the best option out of all those. So up until maybe Bardic 8 or something, you'll probably be using those higher ones for various things, but I think it's a good idea to just do that. Weapon proficiencies. As soon as you hit that first level, you start with 5 brand new weapon proficiencies, and you get 1 more every 4 levels. So if you were lacking in weapons before, as a fighter, you got 5 more now. So just start picking them weapons. So now that you've started in your level 1 bard, you have basically become a bard trainee, so to speak. And you have to prove yourself worthy to attend a certain college of bard knowledge. Now, what's interesting is as you progress in levels, there's a college level rank listed in the book on page 117, and I will show you that in just a second here. But the higher levels don't associate with the lower levels, so it's kind of like, the higher levels are like, you're a low person, I don't talk to you. Unless you're level 23, which is the Master Bard level 23, and those people are allowed to associate with anybody they choose without a problem. But as you can see here in the book, there are the level titles as it comes in. And level 23 can associate, but level 1, you're just a probationary person and you're working your way up. Now, the book really doesn't explain how to prove yourself, how to be worthy, or how to do it. It's just assumed that in your career, as you're experiencing it through the adventure, you're using your bardic skills as you're in the field, and that's kind of proving yourself, and then you attend the next level, and then you become more of a bard, and you can freely associate with more people, and you get more bardic abilities. Because at first level, you really don't get much of anything at all except one ability, and I'll go over the abilities of the bard right now. When you start leveling up, you gain additional languages as a bard. You will not get your first new additional language until 4th level. But it is assumed that since you're studying as a bard and learning as a bard, you have looked over different ancient languages or books, and you've absorbed enough to say at that point at level 4 bard that you have learned a new language. However you and the DM want to decide that, that's how you do it. Bardic Charm. Starting at first level on page 118, as I showed you that chart before, you get Bardic Charm. And it starts at 15%. As you can see there. 15%. Now, the Bardic Charm is pretty much the same as Charm Monster or Charm Person. It basically works as the spell. And the percentage there is your percentage chance to cast it correctly while playing and singing an instrument. Yeah, while playing an instrument and singing. Though you can take it either way. I have seen some DMs allow it that you can just sing during battle, or you can just play an instrument. It really depends on you. All targets, and that usually is enemy targets, because in a second I'll tell you the benefits of the bard in the party. All targets within 40-foot range must make a saving throw provided that the charm percentage was passed. So you roll, you get under that 15%, that spell has been cast. Boom, people have to make a saving throw. So after they make the saving throw, the ones that fail will automatically, even though they failed the saving throw, stop and acknowledge the bard singing for at least one round. They won't do anything. They'll just kind of be like, what kind of deal? Or however your DM wants to describe it. The ones that, so that's the ones that pass. The ones that fail the saving throw now will become charmed as per the spell charm monster, charm person, and will have a positive outlook upon you, just like the spell. And at that point, when they're being charmed, the bard can plant a suggestion per the spell, and which triggers another saving throw at -2. So once you plant the suggestion, the bard is able to do that and successfully do whatever the suggestion versus via the spell suggestion. This can only be attempted once per day per target. So if you do it on a whole bunch of group in front of you, and let's say you don't successfully do it, too bad, so sad. It's failed. Once per day per target. As you're going up in levels, you also get legend, lore, and item knowledge percentage, which starts at level 2 at 5%. Now, basically, that's the whole bard knows a little bit of this and a little bit of that legend thing. And they also have a chance to identify magical items if they're magical. Now, it really depends on the DM how they want to do it here. Now, the DMs that I've experienced and what I've always done is that a bard can take an item and kind of meditate with it and decide, okay, this is a magical item, but doesn't really know what the magical item properties are. The other way of doing it is the bard can look at the item and just be like, roll percentage, get under it. Oh yeah, that's sword +1, whatever. Things like that. It really depends on the DM how you want to do it and your flavor, your campaign, obviously. But you're only limited to identifying armor, potions, and any other thing that the bard is limited to using, such magical items with inscriptions, things like that. So you're kind of limited on your list there. Weapons, armor, potions, and other bardic type items that he can use. Now, remember when I said that you were kind of a druid? You do kind of cast spells? Well, bards can cast spells much like druids, but they're limited to what they can do. And once they reach, I believe it is, yes. At level 1, they can cast 1 druidic spell, and it progresses on the little chart here on the page, as you can see there. And progresses, and you will cast up until level 12 as a level 12 bard. Once you hit level 12, you're kind of stuck there. That's your cap level. You could still progress and get more spells, but you're always considered a level 12 and no higher. And I remember I said there was a benefit to singing for your party. Well, bardic inspiration. While your bard is singing and playing, he can also inspire everybody to get +1 for their attack. And he must do it for at least 2 turns of singing. He can fight during this time while he's singing. And it lasts for 1 turn that everybody gets that +1. The bardic inspiration also can cancel out the harpy song. So if your party is trapped with the harpy song, he can start singing and he can counter a spell. It's kind of like a counter spell type thing for that. And I think it's pretty useful because you never know when you're going to run into the harpies, right? Henchman. A bard himself, as far as the NPC side of things, will never be a henchman more than a couple months, maybe 1 to 4 months the most. And will only employ henchmen that are druids, fighters, and thieves of human, half-elven, and elven race only. They won't take anything else. That's just how they work. At level 23, a bard normally settles down and constructs a stronghold because there's nothing more for them to do. They can't advance any further. They can't gain anything further. They can't get any other hit points. Like, most of the classes are endless as far as hit points are concerned, and maybe getting certain things here or there, but that's about it. The bard does not go. He's capped. He is capped right there, as you can see. 23, cap. So, certain magical items that a bard can use. He's able to use the same type of magical items that are used by fighters and thieves and druids, including scrolls used by druids, but a bard is only limited to those things, as well as what a bard can use listed here. Now, there are certain magical items that, in the hands of a bard, would actually work a lot better, according to the book, and they listed on a chart on table 3, which I will show you here. Right up here. So the drums of panic. Oh, that wasn't the table. I apologize. This is the table. I put it in the wrong part of the book, right over here. Oh, hit my microphone. The drums of panic. Saving throws are made at -1 penalty on the die against your foes. The Horn of Blasting will do double damage when he does it, or 50% greater damage, depending on you look at that. The Leer of Building will do double effects. The Piper of Sewing, double the number of rolls in 1/2 the usual time. So double the number of rats, pretty much, in half the usual time. Those items will work in advantage to the bard better than anybody else. Now, will there be more items into your campaign that a DM can roll up for you? Absolutely. The book actually encourages that your DM may include more items that were more useful in the hands of a bard. Are bards a class worth gunning for? Probably... Nah, I don't think so. It's probably not something I would play. I mean, if a player wanted to play it, by all means, if you can qualify for it, go for it, man. I mean, it's a long, hard road, man. But do it. If it's something you want to do because you want to be challenged, something you want to get into, I suggest you highly try it. It's definitely an experience for somebody to try, an experienced player. I wouldn't suggest a new player going for a bard. I would suggest more of an experienced player because it takes a lot to stay alive that long. And, well, you know. Those stats itself are really hard to qualify for, with a 15 strength, intelligence 12, wisdom 15, dex 15, con 10, and charisma 15. If you're just doing straight 3d6 rolls or 4d6, maybe even 5d6 would be easier. It really depends. You'd have to have a pretty easygoing DM to be like, all right, you can reroll. All right, you can reroll. All right, you can reroll. Because there's a certain point that you have to, as a DM, say, enough is enough. Just take what you got. Most DMs that I play with in the past, including myself, will allow a certain number of rerolls. Usually it's like 6, the max. I've never seen anybody do over that. But there are some DMs I've read online that'll just be like, keep going until you get what you want, which might as well just fudge the numbers at that point because you'll get what you want eventually. Or, third option, Tommy comes up to you and says, I want to play a druid. And you say, not a problem. Just make sure you put your stats exactly to the minimum requirements there. Do it like that. That's how I would probably do it. If someone really wanted to play it, I'd say, okay, your strength is this, your intelligence is that, wisdom is that, 5 is that. What I may consider doing, and it's kind of an interesting idea, is have all their attributes start at 10 and give them a D8 and have them roll it to see if they qualify. And whatever they get stuck with, that's what they can do. And then maybe along the way they can quest to try to get those stats up. Maybe they don't have enough for everything. But, you never know. It's always fun to try if you want something new. So that's Bards. Hopefully you've learned something and hopefully you will enjoy it. So if you haven't already and you're enjoying the series, check out the other videos. If you have checked out the other videos and you're just returning because you saw this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and don't forget to share the videos around. Remember, keep it original and keep it old school. Good night, everybody.